Like, stop playing with him. Like, stop playing with him.
It's time to discuss. Now that Jujutsu Kaisen's final episode has aired, what was the best fight of season 2? I've seen a lot of discourse on Twitter about who should take home the crown, but being dubbed the best fight raider of all time by the anime community, I will take the head in this conversation and give y'all the truth on which fight takes the crown for this season. And so I went back and watched every single episode of the second season and formed a list, ranking every single major fight worst to best. But first, we need to go over my method for rating the fights. First is backstory/plot. Basically what the motives are for the fight, because fighting without purpose is never fun to watch. I mean, just look at how God of High School is going. Second, choreography. Fight choreography is the most underrated aspect of anime fights. Choreography is what makes fights as entertaining as they are, and really shows the creativity of the animators, fulfilling the mangaka's vision from regular static manga panels. Number 3, dialogue. Certain lines just make the fight that much cooler, let's be for real. Fourth is music and OSTs. The OST underneath the fight is a great way to amplify what the viewer's feeling when watching the fight. It's like the icing on the cake. And fifth is animation. Debatably the most important feature of a fight, because no matter how many of the previous boxes it checks, nobody wants to look at a fight that looks like dog shit. And while these 5 are probably the most important features, it doesn't mean that they're the only features of what makes a fight great. These are just the most 5 important to me. So without further ado, let's begin. Number 18, Yuji versus the Grasshopper. Yeah, this was undoubtedly the worst fight of this season. And I wish I could give this fight some sort of positive, like even though it's at the bottom of the list, it still doesn't mean it's a bad fight. But no, this was actually a bad fight. There was zero motive for the fight to be enticing, no backstory between the two characters at all. The animation compared to the entirety of the season was mid, and yeah, it just wasn't really all that enjoyable. But what I will say is that if the animators needed to rush through some stuff due to their insane work schedule and deadlines, I'm happy that it was the Grasshopper fight that got the short end of the stick, instead of any of the other fights this season. Number 17, Geto and Gojo versus the Q combatants. Now, honestly, this fight doesn't have any real substance to it either, but the only reason I believe it's a better fight than the Grasshopper fight is due to this godly OST playing under the fight. Even if it's a 2-minute long fight, it's good enough for me to make a decision. Number 16, Gojo versus Backhead. Gojo versus Backhead was an interesting case because it felt like a tutorial, and that's simply because it was. It wasn't an actual fight, and more like a display of what Gojo was able to do. And unfortunately, Backhead was the punching bag. I mean, come on, bro. Just look at his design. Gege had no plans for this man except to be Gojo's stepping stool, and to explain how far Gojo's powers were at this time in the past. It was very crisp and simple in terms of animation though, and it felt clean to watch, but it just wasn't enough to breach into the top 15 of the season. Number 15, Yuji and Megami versus the old guy. At this point in the list, the fight's beginning to feel like Jujutsu Kaisen. What does that mean? Who knows? This fight was simple, but done well. Animation wasn't anything crazy, and honestly, this fight would have been further back in the list if it wasn't for this one scene where what was happening in the fight and the OST matched perfectly. It gave me chills that I wanted to feel at the perfect time. And at the same time, the only reason this isn't higher is because once again, they're not really fighting for anything right now. Not that much of a backstory between the 3, and it's just a fight that progresses us through the story. But what's crazy is that in any other show, this would be a tough fight, easily. That's a skill that we're working with when we're ranking JJK. Number 14, Kenjaku versus everyone. Now, while this fight held a very high importance in progressing the plot, to me, it wasn't the best in terms of a fight. Obviously, the animation was amazing, but we expect that from any Jujutsu Kaisen fight. The only reason that this fight is ranked so high on my list is because of that man Chozo. That small segment of Chozo versus Kenjaku with the original OST playing in the background made this fight 10 times better to me. I also love Chozo, so there might be a little bit of bias there as well. Number 13, Nanami versus Shigemo. This barely counts as a fight. It's honestly just a vicious beatdown. But the reason that I believe that it belongs on the list is because of Nanami himself. When have we ever seen Nanami show any type of emotion during a fight? Even against Mahito, where the attacks he was facing were transfigured humans who were begging him to help him. He didn't show the slightest amount of emotion, and yet versus Shigemo, all of that went out the window. The beatdown was brutal, but simple and straight to the point, and really made a statement to Nanami's character and what he values. Number 12, Gojo versus Toji Part 1. Toji's first battle with Gojo was an insanely difficult feat with incredible animation to back it up. Toji got pressed by child Gojo, and from that day on had been scheming a plan on how to kill him. No, but seriously, Toji executed on an excellent plan just just to catch Gojo off guard and stabbed him with a regular blade that pierced him but missed his vital spots. And the crazy part is that this is still part of his plan. The fight goes on with gorgeous animation and Toji's able to find a blind spot to attack Gojo with. Now, the reason that Toji did all that prep just to sneak attack him with a regular blade and basically cause no damage at all is to create the facade and false sense of security in Gojo that Toji is only able to do damage to him when he turns off his curse technique, Limitless. And so as Toji goes for the kill, Gojo focuses on strengthening his Limitless, which ends up being his downfall because Toji anticipated this and uses a curse tool that forced the release of any active techniques and flawlessly beats Gojo. So when I say Toji's my favorite character in anime, now you know why. Number 11, Geto versus Toji. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, this fight got snubbed. I honestly believe that there is no reason it shouldn't be top 10, but there are literally too many amazing fights in this arc that some are just gonna end up getting hoed. That's just what it is. Like I said before, these are fights that would be the best in any other series, but Jujutsu Kaisen is just different. This fight begins with Rika telling Geto she wants to live. Everything's so cheery, the ending theme is playing underneath, and we all think everything's gonna be alright. That is until a bullet goes right through her head. This nigga Toji breaks the fourth wall and turns the music off himself. And then he tells Geto that he killed Gojo. This alone makes this fight worthy of its spot, and the fighting hasn't even started yet. As always, the animation is top tier, and watching two of the most unique characters of the series fight just makes... Wait, did that nigga just cut through a dragon? Alright, see, this nigga Toji's just a different breed, bro. And look at that smile. This nigga loves to fight. And then there's the finishing blow, where he turns Geto into Luffy, and just a great fight overall. Before we breach into the top 10, you already know what I'm about to ask. Subscribe. Damn. While you at it, hit that like button too. I bet. Let's get back to it. Number 10, Toji versus Megumi. Now, before I begin, understand that personally, this is one of my favorite fights of the season due to my heavy love for Toji's dynamic as a character. But unfortunately, if I look at it from an objective standpoint, trust me, this hurts me more than it hurts y'all. Animation and choreography wise, this is a top 5 fight in the series. The entire construction site scene was a complete masterpiece, and a huge shout out to the animator who created it, Nakaya Anton. And while the final scene gives me chills every time I watch it, that nigga's still dead, but I don't care. Number 9, Geto versus Old Dog Guy. Now, I know what y'all may be thinking. Pop, what the fuck? But I promise there's a good reason that this fight is this far up. I need y'all to understand the insanity of what this nigga Geto did to this old man. First, he made the old man play right into his trap card by faking his attack style and making him think he's not close to combat fighter. The old man then faked getting smothered by an attack and comes through the window. And as he goes for the kill, he sees his dead dog. Nigga, this isn't a cursed technique. This nigga's life is flashing before his eyes. This isn't the worst part though. After seeing his dead dog, Gege creates an entire backstory for him, just for Geto to hit this old man with the meanest 8-piece combo I've ever seen in a minute. All while church gospels being sung in the background, and sent this nigga to the afterlife with his dead dog. Number 8, Dagon versus everyone. Honestly, fuck the rest of the fight. Yeah, Maki, Nanami, and Nobito put in work, and this shit was cool, I guess. But what I'm really here for is Toji. Call me a dick rider, I'll gladly accept David for Toji. Hey, yo. But bro, the choreography of this fight with the animation to match is just not something you see every day. I actually already made a video on this fight, so go check it out if you haven't already. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Shout out to Toji for the carry, man. Number 7, Mechamaru versus Mahito. While this fight may not be a fan favorite, it's definitely underappreciated. Strictly due to the fact that it came so early in the Shibuya arc. It was literally the first fight of the arc, and I think that it's the most underrated fight of season 2. First of all, let's understand that Mechamaru's life is literal shit. Like, Gege couldn't have made a more hoed character than him. He has a heavenly restriction, but instead of having insane physical prowess like Maki and Toji, he's given immense amounts of curse energy, but his heavenly restriction left him born without his right arm and lower parts of his legs. His skin is so fragile that it burns under moonlight, and he's always experiencing chronic pain, which he describes as every pore in his body being constantly stabbed. So, to say the least, he's struggling, man. He makes a deal with Kenjaku and Mahito that in exchange for him giving them information on Jujutsu High, Mahito will heal his body from the heavenly restriction. The reason I think this is one of the most underrated fights is because of what he's fighting for. His whole life, he's been alone and in pain. Literal hell. If any normal person was in his position, they do the same thing. He's just someone who's fighting to live a life that for everyone else is already a given. Isn't that crazy? Just the plot alone and the emotion put into this fight already makes it one of the best fights in the season. And on top of the godly animation and subtle odes to Evangelion and Gurren Lagann, yeah, definitely one of my favorite fights for sure. Hold on, drink break. You know, this recording shit get real shiesty. I gotta keep the throat wet. Yeah. Number 6, Gojo vs 3 Curse Spirits. This fight was the tone setter for the Shibuya arc. It let us know that niggas was getting hoed, both heroes and villains. Gege don't care whose side you on, anyone can get it. One of the main reasons why I believe this fight is worthy of the number 6 spot is because of the impact that it had on the entire arc. Gojo being sealed was the catalyst of the Shibuya incident. Everything after it, from the 3 old niggas coming out of hiding to the evisceration of Shibuya, everything that has happened this season was all due to this single fight. Not only that, but for arcs to come as well. So to put it simply, this fight is important. Basically, the entire fight, this nigga Gojo's dogging everybody. He kills Hanami effortlessly. Come on, bro. He's then put in a difficult game time decision. Gojo's moral compass on human casualties is that as long as the sacrifice or the deaths is worth whatever the outcome is, he's happily willing to make that sacrifice. But this is only when the deaths are caused by other curses and not himself. The situation he's in right now is that he either uses domain expansion, which would kill everyone around him as well as the cursed spirits, or to not use it and watch the slaughter of everyone around him by the cursed spirits. Well, guess what this nigga does? He literally creates a third option out of thin air. He uses his domain expansion, which lasts only 0.2 of a second, which is enough time for him to get rid of every transfigured human in the station, and at the same time, not turn the human brains around him into mush. Gojo got it, bro. And obviously the fight ends with Gojo being sealed, which began the butterfly effect of what's to come. Number 5, Gojo vs Toji Part 2. Throughout heaven and earth, I alone am the honored one. After coming back from literal death, Gojo's able to see it. He is the strongest. He's been blessed with power beyond anyone on earth, and he understands that now. We see Gojo go from an arrogant, cocky kid who thinks nobody is stronger than him to someone who knows that there is no one on his level anymore. After learning reverse curse technique and the true essence of cursed energy, he saw the world in a different light, and the fight showed this through the heavy contrast of the two sides. While Toji's in a constant attack mode, devising a way for him to win, Gojo is on an entirely different plane. Literally, as he's floating through the air with heaven's rays beaming down on him, he takes one look at Toji, as if he's an ant who's disturbed the peace of a god. And it's there where you can tell that he's a completely new sorcerer. The fight ends with a hole through Toji caused by Hollow Purple. This is definitely one of the best fights I've ever seen. And the craziest part is that the best parts aren't even them fighting. As an entirety, the fight gives us everything. Number 4, Jogo vs Sukuna. This fight is one of 2 animating marvels that came from Jujutsu Kaisen this season. Obviously, animation carries a huge weight when it comes to fights. Like I said before, nobody wants to watch a fight with dog shit animation. No matter how good everything else is, animation is the end all be all. And this fight took animation to another level. I've said it before in another video, but the reason this fight is so amazing to me is because the animators were able to convey a story. A story how Jogo's ego drives him to seek out the best of the best in competition, and loses every time in excruciating fashion. Jogo crushing the 2 buildings together tells that tale. It's also one of the best animated fights I've ever seen. But yeah, animation alone makes this fight worthy of number 4. Number 3, Yuji and Todo vs Mahito. Honestly, when I read the manga, I didn't have this in my top 3 fights of this arc. Nope. Obviously that doesn't mean that it was bad in any way. I love the ending sequences and scenes, and I loved Todo, but it just wasn't top 3 to me. So what the anime transformed this fight into is something magical. There's also the fact that this fight got 4 fucking episodes, which is by far the longest fight of the entire series, and it's not even close. But this fight is pure perfection. I'm actually working on a much deeper dive into this fight and all of its hidden gems and meanings. So yeah, the countless deaths, animation that honestly to me is debatably the best in the series. I'm not gonna lie, argue with the wall on that one, because this Total Black Flash scene was made by a 19-year-old.
今置いていかれているのは俺。強くなったな、ブラザー。再びブラザーを一人にする気か、東堂葵。
Nigga, I'm 19 and I struggle to upload consistently. The voice acting of every single main character in this fight, all of it, bro. All of it. Honest to God, I swear I would love to put this fight at number 2. But what's next is just generational. Number 2. Sukuna vs Makuhara. Imagine getting a fight like Jogo vs Sukuna and thinking that there's no way it could get better than this. And then Sukuna vs Makuhara comes out the week after. Bro, what a time to be alive. There's not much else I can say about this fight without repeating what's been reiterated all across the internet countless times. So instead, I'm gonna talk to all of you fraudulent watchers. Listen here, buddy. Just because your tiny, underdeveloped pea-brain can't comprehend the choreography of the fight and what's actually happening doesn't make this a bad fight. That's just copium. Now, I understand that it might have been a little bit difficult to follow just due to the amount of god tier animation that was in this episode, because usually animation done this well is only in short bursts, and even then it may be hard to follow, so an entire fight in movie budget animation would definitely be difficult to follow for the average viewer. But this was in no way an average fight. On every rewatch of this fight, I find a new detail that I hadn't noticed before, which is just a homage to the amount of work put into this fight by the animators. This fight is one of a kind and can never be imitated. If you're curious on my lengthier opinion of the fight, I did a deeper analysis video on it already, so check it out if you haven't. Number 1, and the best fight of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 goes to Chozo versus Yuji. It's impossible to put into words how much I love this fight. There's so much emotion in this fight, just off the fact that the purpose of Chozo fighting is based off the death of both of his brothers from the hands of Yuji. Just to find out that Yuji's actually his brother as well. Having the best choreography of the entire series and on par with some of the best choreography I've ever seen in anime, with animation and amazing, let me say it again, amazing color schemes to match, fire use of music and OSTs throughout the entire fight, as well as dialogue that just gives you chills, such as Yuji realizing that he's just a cog in a machine of what Jujutsu High is and he's okay with that. I feel like I've said this about like the last 3 fights, but I also have a deeper analysis video on this fight as well, so go check it out if you haven't already, like real quick, and then come back to this video. This fight is very well deserving of the #1 fight in the season as well as the series. Hope they all enjoyed the list, and let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with the list and what you would change. If you haven't, please leave a like and subscribe. We're so close to 500 subscribers, and with that, peace out.